All sports, all plays. Yeah. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making the plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. Great eye in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace of the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. Network. All sports, all plays. Network. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to the ASAP Sports Network. I am Ace from the West Coast, and I am joined tonight by none other than, I guess we'll call him the one, the only, Mr. Freddie Henderson. How's it going tonight?
Ace, you already know that I'm the staple of the show. I'm the celebrity of the show. People want to see Freddie on Real Talk. So when you give me a shout out, you give me a shout out, sir.
So before I give you a shout out, we have a video from the person that's actually the staple of Real Talk. I will come out and tell you that's right, the main attraction on Real Talk. So Freddie, you come out and you show that video from Mr. Chris Brown. Go ahead and show that video.
I might don't want to show it today, but since you asked nicely, I'll go ahead and show you the video.
But just because I'm not on Real Talk does not mean Freddie Henderson gets a pass for all the delusional takes he says. Everything delusional he takes, I want you to save it, send it to me. I want you to tag me in the comment and timestamp it. Because come next week, I'm coming for you, Freddie. So if you talk about my Eagles, you talk about my Sixers, you talk about my point guard, you talk about my quarterback, I'm coming for you, Freddie. If you say anything about Daniel Jones, I'm coming for you, Freddie. If you say anything about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, I'm coming for you, Freddie. Any delusional takes, I will find them. I'm coming for you. But, for the supporters and all they should Real Talk, I just want to say thank you for sticking with us. I will be back next week, and I'm bringing the heat. But until then, enjoy the rest of the show. Peace out. Coming from your boy.
First off, Chris Brown, you might be a Tampa Bay covering the Super Bowl, but that don't give you no right to call me out when you're not here, sir. Next week, I will be here. I'm not hiding from you. I'll be ready for you. So, yeah, Chris Brown already know he don't want the smoke. He don't want the smoke at all, ladies and gentlemen.
He's bringing the heat for you, Freddie. Next week, he is bringing the heat. He is ready for you. Okay.
But I do have one last thing to say.
Go ahead.
Here from the All Sports All Plays Network, we want to give a huge shout out to Ace, to Adam, Barbara, that's on this show. A very happy birthday. Today's his birthday. We want to give him a shout out, a happy birthday to him. No, I'm not about to get up here to sing because my voice sounds good, but it's not that good. So, happy birthday to you, Ace, and wish you many more from the All Sports All Plays Network.
Oh, thanks, man. That wasn't necessary, but, that's all right. A birthday's a birthday, bro. All right, so before we jump into our topics, Freddie, why don't you tell me a little bit about how you can win one of those awesome ASAP Network T-shirts?
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a wonderful T-shirt. I have a T-shirt myself. You would not want to, just think about this. It's so easy to get this free. It's so easy. All you have to do is like our page, follow us. All you have to do is comment on our live shows, like our live shows, and you can get a chance to be the viewer of the month and get a free T-shirt. A free T-shirt. Matter of fact, Ace, I don't think we announced the free T-shirt winner for last month, did we?
No, we did not actually announce the last month's winner.
Did we ever come up with an agreement?
No, so that's why we said we will actually announce it tomorrow. When you guys go live for Boxed Out, we will have that answer tomorrow, and then that the winner will be announced tomorrow. So be ready, everybody. Be ready.
All right, cool. Well, gentlemen, Ace, let's get into it. We got a wonderful shirt on show.
Freddie, you forgot something though, man. You forgot something.
Well,
Yeah, because now you're telling everybody how they can get one of those free shirts, but you never once said how somebody could get one of those shirts if they can't come on a comment.
Oh, well, my bad. I'm just too excited for these topics. It's going to get heated on here in Real Talk, y'all. You guys already know because I'm ready to get Chris Brown fired up, even though he's away from the show. He's covering the Super Bowl. But, hey, huge shout-out to our dude, Chris Brown. Yes, if you're not able to catch us live and you're on the road on the next morning, listen to us, all you have to do is message one of the analysts on the network, message the page, messages on Instagram, messages on Twitter, Facebook, and all the shirts are $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Trust me, folks, this shirt is a must-buy T-shirt.
They're phenomenal shirts. I love it. All right, so now we're gonna have some lit topics tonight. We're ready for them. So, Mr. Nate the Great, go ahead and pull up our first topic of the night. And, of course, we have our Super Bowl hot takes. So, Mr. Freddie Henderson, you go ahead and you start out. You give me a Super Bowl hot take, sir. What do you think?
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe this Super Bowl is going to be the best Super Bowl we've seen in the last 3 to 4 years. Reason why I say that is because you have the teacher versus the student. You have Tom Brady versus Patrick Mahomes. And I believe Patrick Mahomes is going to put on a show. People think this Super Bowl is going to be close. I don't think it's going to be that close because I think Patrick Mahomes is going to remind the world who he is. Tom Brady had his time. It's time for the young buck Patrick Mahomes to show us why he's the best quarterback in the game today. To show us why he's overstepped Aaron Rodgers is better than him. Show us why he's going to be better than Tom Brady. I believe it will be about this. The Kansas City Chiefs will win by at least 2 touchdowns above the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
So your hot take is that they're going to win by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm throwing out a different hot take here that nobody's going to probably be expecting. So when we look at this game, okay, people are coming out. They're talking about Tom Brady. They're talking about Patrick Mahomes. They're talking about Tyreek Hill. Okay, so they're talking about all these guys. But here's my hot take. The Super Bowl MVP is not going to be Tom Brady. It's not going to be Patrick Mahomes. This is going to be the first time since the Green Bay Packers did it in the 90s that you're going to actually see a special teams player win the MVP. And here's why. Because Tampa Bay is ranked, if you remember, they were ranked last in the NFL on special teams. And what's one strong thing that Kansas City has? They have a great return game. And because Mecole Hardman, that he's so fast. So I'm telling you right now that there's going to be a special teams player that's going to win the MVP. That is my Super Bowl hot take.
Woo! So you mean to tell me Patrick Mahomes, not Tom Brady, not even a Tyreek Hill, not even a Rob Gronkowski is going to win MVP. It's going to be the special team player.
Absolutely. It's going to be a special teams player. And we haven't seen it since Desmond Howard. We haven't seen it since then. So I'm telling you now, it's due time. It is going to happen. You're going to see a special teams player win the MVP award. That is my hot take. I told you the hot take was coming, Freddie. I said that hot take is coming. And that was my hot take.
Ooh, Ace bringing the heat already on the Real Talk. By the way, folks, don't you guys miss Ace on Real Talk? I mean, this is a reunion to this dude. This is a reunion to him.
This is where I started, man. This is where I made my debut. This is where I started, and then I switched over to Sports Minute. And I'll tell you, it's been a pleasure to fill in this week. All right, Nate, why don't you go ahead and flip it to that next slide there. So now it comes to our Super Bowl MVP. So, Freddie, I know you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, and you're talking about Tom Brady, and you're saying that Kansas City is going to come out and win this game by 14. I said my hot take that the MVP was going to be a special teams player. But if you see at the bottom of this slide what I put, I said, is there a dark horse? Is a dark horse a special teams player? So for you, you're probably saying no. But is there a dark horse that could win MVP in this game?
Of course. I don't have Patrick Mahomes as MVP nor Tom Brady. I have a man by the name of Tyreek Hill who put on a show the last time this team played. Don't you guys remember he had 7 targets, 7 receptions for 203 yards in the first half? I mean, this dude is going to put on a show. They do not have a corner on this team that can guard this man. This dude is electric fast. This dude, you can see him, but now you can't. This dude will... I mean, I believe that he's going to light it up. This dude is going to be a mismatch with all the weapons that Kansas City have with Patrick Mahomes throwing the football. There's no way this team can guard him. I have Tyreek Hill as my MVP. I don't think he'll do that what he did that game on this Sunday, but I believe he'll put about 150 yards and 2 touchdowns on him.
No, but that is the one thing that I agree with you on, is that in this game, if you're Tampa Bay, their biggest concern in this game should be who can stop Tyreek Hill, because I don't think they have a cornerback that can do it. We saw it the first time when you have over 200 yards in the first half. I mean, that's going to be huge. I don't know if they're going to be able to stop him. And then when you start slowing him down, guess who you have? You have as Travis Kelce that comes from the tight end spot, which that guy can go over for 150 yards a game too. So, I mean, Tampa Bay might be in a little bit of trouble with this offense.
You know, hey, Tampa Bay, they better hope their defense has stepped up to play. They better hope their defense have found their mojo because, even though the Green Bay Packers lost to them, they were still put some numbers up on that defense. You know, I got to remember, it's Patrick Mahomes. There's difference between him and Rodgers, but Patrick Mahomes is actually a little bit more mobile than Aaron Rodgers, so he can run in and out that pocket with ease. So, and you know, everybody would say, well, he got the little toe injury. Hey, he hasn't played what a week now. So I believe he got a little bit more healthier since then. So, you're definitely right about that, Onace.
And it didn't affect him in the last game, so I don't see why it would affect him in this game, because he had more time to heal. So I don't know. You tell me, man. How does that make sense? I don't know. All right. Nate, next slide, please. All right. Who will bring home that Lombardi trophy? Is it going to be the Chiefs or is it going to be the Bucs? But here's the thing, because if you remember, I said my Super Bowl MVP was going to be a special teams player, and I brought up the fact that Tampa Bay has the worst special teams in the NFL. So obviously, I have to go with my Super Bowl winner as Kansas City Chiefs, so that wouldn't make any sense, because how can you have a Super Bowl MVP of the team that doesn't win? So I've got KC. I think it's going to be a good game. I know Mr. Freddie Henderson's over here saying that Kansas City's going to win by 14. Nah, man, no. And the reason I'm saying that's not going to happen is because I think you're underestimating this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense just a little bit. I think that's what you're doing. If you're saying the Chiefs are going to come in and beat them by 14, that to me, you are underestimating that Tampa Bay offense, because this is an offense that I think can keep up with them. They can go point for point for point for point. And so to me, this is going to actually be a very high-scoring game. It's not going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a high-scoring game. You're going to see both teams go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. I would not be surprised if at halftime you see a score of 24-23 going into halftime. It could be a very, very high-scoring game, but I do have the Chiefs coming out on top, but it's going to be on the last second. They're going to come out on top. They're going to kick that game-winning field goal multiple times like Tom Brady and his Patriots have multiple times in the past. This year, what?
Dave got my prediction. He said 42-31. I'm going 44-30. Nate said 38-35 Chiefs. I'm not disrespecting them.
Well, no, when you're coming out saying that the Kansas City Chiefs are going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 14 points, I mean, that is a little bit of a disrespect in a way.
No.
Because I feel like you're overlooking this offense.
No, you know why I say that? Because I expect Tampa Bay to come out scoring. They're a good first quarter team. That's what they are. They can score in the first quarter. We seen it against Green Bay. They was dominant the first half, seemed like, and it seemed like the second half they got that offense got stagnant. I mean, so this team cannot afford to go in a slump on offense going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who number one mindset is get a touchdown on every single play. So I do believe that this Chiefs defense can hold Brady to at least 2 or 3 possessions without scoring. And so, with that being said, I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can prevent this Chiefs team from going to the end zone and scoring just with all the weapons that they have. That's all I'm saying. So I'm predicting it 44-30.
All right, so here's a question for you, because we're all saying that this is going to be a very, very high-scoring game. I see it. All of our fans see it. They're out there commenting and saying that they see it being a very high-scoring game too. But in the end, how many punts do you actually see happening in this game between both teams? Because right now, I don't see I personally don't think we're going to see the punter very much on that field.
I think Tampa Bay going to punt at least two times at least. The third to be the most.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, total. I'm calling it right now. The total amount of punts in this game, tops is going to be 5. I don't think we're going to see a lot more punts than that. I think we'll see a total of 5 punts in this game.
That's combined?
Combined, because it's going to be a very, very high scoring game.
Who's going to have the most?
In this game, it's going to be Tampa Bay, because I have Tampa Bay losing this game. So to me personally, they're going to be punting more, but I think it's going to be 3-2. I think Tampa Bay will probably punt 3, and KC will end up punting 2. So it'll be a total of 5. That's what I have right now. But in the end, the Kansas City Chiefs will bring the trophy home. But in a very good game, I do agree with Nate on that. He's saying 38-35 Chiefs. Do I have 38-35? No, I'm actually going 41-38. That's how much of a high-scoring game I think this is going to be. Now, there's a few people that have called overtime. I don't see overtime happening, but there's also people out there too saying that this could be potentially one of the best Super Bowls we've seen in a very, very long time.
I agree. Man, you talking about? Wasn't it the Saints and the Chiefs that played a few years ago? They had that high-scoring game, went for points.
Are you talking about in the regular season?
Yeah, the regular season.
No, that was the Rams and the Chiefs.
The Rams and the Chiefs, okay. I think it's going to be something like that. It's going to look something like that, but I still have the Tampa Bay winning. I'm not Tampa Bay. Chiefs winning by 14.
Whew. Man, 14 points. Oh, boy, that is a killer. All right. Nate, take us on to the next slide there, my man.
Man, you know what? We need to talk about some Eagles and stuff about Carson Wentz so I can get Chris Brown.
No, Freddie, no. We're staying off the Eagles topics tonight, sir. No, we're not getting you going on that. All right. So our next topic that we're going to talk about is we're going to actually talk about the Atlanta Falcons. And the reason why we're talking about them is because people are saying, should the Atlanta Falcons trade Julio Jones and Matt Ryan? But Arthur Blank has come out and said he's not going to trade them. He doesn't want to trade them. Like, they're in Atlanta. Should they? Personally, no. Like, you might look at Matt Ryan and be like, well, Matt Ryan's getting up there. But there's a lot of quarterbacks in the league that are still getting up there. If you still have it, why are you going to trade him? And I know one of the big knocks on Julio Jones that everybody talks about is injuries. But before I go into me talking about it, Freddie, you go ahead and you tell me, what do you think? Should the Falcons go ahead and trade them?
If I'm Julio Jones, I'm demanding a trade for one reason. They have wasted this man's prime. They have wasted this man's prime. This dude is arguably one of the best wide receivers that we have seen. And I mean, he's arguably, can you just say, who's the greatest wide receiver of all time? People say Julio Jones. I wouldn't have a problem because he put up the numbers. But you mean to tell me with a quarterback like Matt Ryan, with the offense that this team have had in recent years, this team have not went deep in the playoffs since that Super Bowl run? It seemed like that Brady did not just beat them. They took that heart away from their franchise. There's a black hat running around that franchise. I mean, you talking about a wide receiver and Julio Jones, there's a lot of teams that could use a Julio Jones right now. I can name a few off my head. But, I mean, Matt Ryan – I mean, is he going to be worth much? I don't think he's going to be worth much. Is he going to be worth much like a deal like a Matthew Stafford? I don't think so. So, I mean, it just really depends on what they're going to do with the draft pick as well, in the draft this year as well, too.
Oh, wow.
Maybe we trade Julio Jones to the Giants and we'll send Brandon Matt Ryan.
Oh, Freddie. So, wow. Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. So when you're talking about Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, you're talking about how the Falcons have wasted his career. You can say that about a ton of players in the NFL right now. Now, would you say that about Matt Ryan too, that they wasted his career?
I guess you could say so.
No. It's not. I guess you would say so. Yes or no? Did the Falcons waste his career? Yes or no?
Yes.
That took you a few minutes. There.
Well, I had to think about it. I mean, I didn't want to come on here and say I pass, and then Brandon Herrera, he'll go on another rant of me saying I pass.
But here's the thing, though. Okay, so we talk about this Falcons team, and we talk about you can talk about the owners, the GMs, or whatever. Here's the thing. The Falcons, to me, have personally actually drafted pretty well. My biggest problem with this Falcons team was always the head coach. That was because this Falcons team would always come out, get a lead, and guess what? Just blow the typical Falcons game like they always have. That was their MO. And then they got Raheem Morris, who actually was able to come out and help them win a few games at the end of last year. So, would I say that they wasted his whole career? No, I wouldn't say they wasted his whole career. They've given when you look at certain players, you can look at certain quarterbacks, let's say like Rodgers and let's start with Rodgers with that. You can you're on mute or something. I can't hear you, Freddie. But you can look at that and say, yes, they wasted a guy like his career because they gave him nothing. But at least on this Falcons team, they were loaded on offense for many, many years. Many years.
You do realize that it takes more than just offense to win games.
Absolutely. I completely understand that. But for years, though, they actually had a good defense, too. They actually did have a good defense.
What about these last recent years?
These last recent years? I mean, obviously, you can say in the last recent years with a lot of teams that they haven't had. Oh, there's your guy, Freddie.
What's going on, Jonathan? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How you guys doing?
I'm glad to have you on.
I'm late to the party, but what's going on? What are we talking about?
All right, so the topic we're on right now is should the Atlanta Falcons trade Julio Jones and Matt Ryan? So you know what? I've said my piece. Freddie said his piece. So you go ahead and take it away.
Well, yesterday when Freddie and I talked about this, I said that I think they should move on without Matt Ryan. I feel they should get rid of Matt Ryan and, start to scout out a new quarterback now. I think it's time to take this team in a new direction. You fired the head coach. You got a new head coach now. But you know what's interesting, though? You have Arthur Smith as the head coach, and this is a guy who's good at developing quarterbacks. Could he kind of help with the resurgence of Matt Ryan? That's something to consider as well. So we don't know, but I think you keep Julio Jones. I said this yesterday. Julio Jones is a valuable piece to that team. I think he's an electrifying wide receiver, and I still think he got enough left in the tank to continue on and finish his career possibly in Atlanta.
Oh yeah, I would agree with you, because the one thing that I'll say about the Atlanta Falcons too is that Matt Ryan isn't the same quarterback that he used to be. We can clearly see he's not that same guy. So what the Falcons should do is, yes, if they're going to trade anybody, trade Matt Ryan, get you a good quarterback, bring him in, and guess what? That offense is loaded, and I can tell you that defense is going to get better. And so once this becomes a complete team, this is one of those teams that are going to be scary. This can be a scary NFC team as long as it all comes together offensively and defensively. They have the weapons to do it. They can. They just need that quarterback to get them over the hump. And there's no way that you would want to trade a guy like Julio Jones. There's just no way. That would kill a big portion of your offense, because when Julio Jones is on that field, sometimes they're like, oh, we need to double this guy. And guess what? It opens up everything for Calvin Ridley and Hayden Hurst and guys like that, because that's what Julio Jones does to you. That's how good this guy is. So why would you want to trade Julio Jones?
I mean, look what happened to the Houston Texans after they traded Hopkins. That was one of their critical offensive players, and you trade him away, and now Deshaun Watson doesn't have his go-to guy. So, I mean, it's amazing how one player could change the entire dynamic of a team. And we saw that with the Houston Texans. And now if Julio Jones gets traded, we could possibly see that in Atlanta as well. So, I mean, what you just said, you hit it on the nail. I think you stay with Julio Jones and you move on with Matt Ryan and you look for a younger quarterback and you start from there.
Now, I know what Freddie was talking about is that, because you might have missed it, because Freddie's like, oh, you need to trade Matt Ryan, you need to trade Julio Jones, you need to, and I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me if you're talking about trading Julio Jones. Now, the one thing, Freddie, that I will say I agree with you on with Matt Ryan is, what are you going to get for Matt Ryan? Because obviously you're not going to get the Matthew Stafford type deal. You're just not going to, because to me personally, Matthew Stafford is better than Matt Ryan. I don't care what a lot of people tell me. A lot of people disagree when I say that Matthew Stafford is an underrated quarterback. People will come at me and say, what's the hype on Matthew Stafford? And I'm like, are you kidding me? What's the hype? What has he been working with? He hasn't worked with crap. So if you were to stick somebody like Matthew Stafford on this Falcons team, my goodness.
Ace. Listen, my dude. I hear you going back and forth. So you mean to tell me if Atlanta called Houston and say, hey, we want Deshaun Watson, that young quarterback. There's only one quarterback that is just as good as Patrick Mahomes. That's just a little bit under Patrick Mahomes. That's Deshaun Watson. You give me Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, I guarantee the Atlanta Falcons will do that deal any day of the week. You know why? You give up an aging quarterback, and you give up a good wide receiver for a young quarterback that can be the centerpiece of my franchise. I still have Ridley, who can come into number one, and all I have to do is bring in another wide receiver and then work from there. Man, what are you talking about, a fresh start? I mean, come on, man, stop it.
Really, Freddie? So you're telling me right now, if you're the Atlanta Falcons GM and the Texans call you and say, I want Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, you're going to take that deal?
I'm taking it in 7 days out of the week.
Oh my God, no, because you don't want to give up a huge piece like that on your offense. Why would you?
Because a lot of times when you give up players like that, Ace, you do not get a chance. You do not rebuild like that quick. Because when you bring in a Deshaun Watson, that's showing me, okay, this team wants to win. This team do not want to tank for another year or two until they get their quarterback. You getting a quarterback that's already ready in Deshaun Watson.
Oh my God, Freddie, no. That's not what you want to do, man.
You don't want to package.
You don't do that.
Yeah, I can see packaging Matt Ryan and maybe some first round picks, because you're gonna have to definitely put some first round picks in that package deal if you're gonna make that happen. But trading Julio Jones away, No, you're trading away a tremendous talent. You're trading away a large portion of your offense. You're basically giving up on winning now and preparing for the future. And now with Deshaun Watson coming in, you have to give him another wide receiver, another go-to guy. I just don't see that happening.
So, Freddie, let me ask you a question here. Okay? In the NFL, what type of league is it now? Is it, you know what, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to rebuild for a couple years and I'll see how my quarterback does? Or is it, what are you doing for me right now? And guess what? It is a right now league. It is, what are you doing for me right now?
That is not true, Ace. The Cowboys been on rebuild over the last 26 years.
Oh my gosh. You can't.
What are you talking about?
No, Freddie.
What are you talking about?
No, it's what have you done for me now? That's the type of league we're in now. It's what have you done for me now? That's the type of league we're in.
Ace, all I'm saying is you're not going to get it. And this is what I don't understand about the Deshaun Watson situation. People need to realize you're not getting a quarterback like Deshaun Watson often. This dude is not to say, you know what, I'm available. Who want to come get me? There's not a lot of them guys out there. So when a guy like that gets available, you need to be ready to make the trade.
Okay, Freddie, listen.
Question, Ace. You're a Green Bay Packers fan, okay?
Absolutely.
And then, there's rumors that Aaron Rodgers went out of Green Bay. And let's say, hey, Houston say, hey, let's swap quarterbacks. Wouldn't you, as a Green Bay Packers fan, say, you know what? We're going to lose Rodgers anyway. Let's go ahead and take Watson, who's just as good. Or would you just rather just lose Rodgers?
I think they're more sold on Jordan Love. I think they didn't draft him for no reason.
He ain't Watson either.
No, but going back to that for a second, Freddie, because now you're talking about Aaron Rodgers and Deshaun Watson. Okay, we were talking about a receiver. So how the heck did we jump into a quarterback here when we're talking about receivers? Because your point would have to be, if you're sitting here and you're talking about Matt Ryan and Julio Jones, okay? That's what that's what this question was. And then you're going, okay, would you do Watson for Rodgers? No, you would have to say, would you do Watson for Rodgers and Devontae? Because we're not talking about just a quarterback. We're talking about a quarterback and a receiver. That's my point. That's what I'm trying to say. No way you're doing that.
You're wrong about this one.
I'm not wrong about this.
You are wrong about this. This is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if I'm Atlanta and Houston called me and said, hey, do you want Deshaun Watson? Okay, give me Julio Jones and give me mine. If I'm Atlanta, I'm going that trade. Because eventually Matt Ryan's going to retire anyway. And as there comes a matter of time where when Julio Jones says, get me up out of here, you wasting my prime, I'm ready to go. And
but who's your wide receiver?
You still have Ridley. You still have Ridley. You can get
Ridley. Yes, you still have Ridley. That's simple.
You can get a Robinson that's going to be a free agent as well.
If you cover Ridley tight, then who else you have to go to?
You can get a Robinson in the draft.
Who else you have to go to?
The point is that me and Jonathan, or I should say I and Jonathan, are trying to make on this one, is that you're sitting here going, okay, so you're going to trade Matt Ryan and Julio Jones for Deshaun Watson. The point is that the only reason the Falcons would want to go after, and I'm not saying they will, but the reason why they would go after a quarterback like Deshaun Watson is they go, well, look at our offense. We have Julio Jones, we have Ridley, and
no, that's not the only reason.
Atlanta is not going to go out there and be like, we're going to break up this offense just to go after Deshaun Watson so we can build for our future. No, because teams are going to want to win mode now.
Let me ask you a question, Ace.
I don't see Arthur Blank doing that. That would be giving up too much. That would be he's a flexible guy anyway. He doesn't easily adapt to change. We've seen that time and time again. He's loyal to his players. So if he's gonna make a trade, he's not gonna package Julio Jones in that deal. I just don't see that happening. Matt Ryan, there's a possibility. Who knows? We all speculating right now. We don't know if that's gonna happen for sure. It's hard to tell right now what's really gonna happen. But if I had to predict, I think they both stay in Atlanta, knowing Arthur Blank.
Oh, they will. They
Let me
will.
ask you a question. So you talking, but anytime there's a quarterback in Deshaun Watson, that you have Patrick Mahomes right here, and you have Deshaun Watson right here, you give up the phone for. Do you expect? Now, my question to you is: do you see Atlanta being anything relative in the playoffs in the next 4 to 5 years?
When they keep their offense like this, if they were to go out and get a decent quarterback with keeping their offense together like this without getting rid of Julio Jones, and you can keep a Todd Gurley in the backfield and Calvin Ridley, if you keep them together and go out and get a decent quarterback, yes, this offense is going to be phenomenal.
Todd Gurley is washed up.
But he can get you. He can be decent enough to help you offensively because he has the experience.
Come in on some snaps. Yeah, he could come in on some snaps, but I mean, he backpedaled ever since the Rams released him. Never been the same running back. He's not as explosive. That knee, I think, gave out on him. But I do like Calvin Ridley. I think he's a big part of that offense. But again, the instrumental part of their offense is Julio Jones. And look, if you have Deshaun Watson as your quarterback and Julio Jones, that could possibly end up being the best quarterback wide receiver combo in the NFL. That would push Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams aside. I don't think they're going to be together anyway, but this would make them the best wide receiver quarterback duo if Deshaun Watson and Julio Jones played on the same team together.
Yeah, so because thinking about this too, so we're talking about let's go back to Freddie here for a second because Freddie's talking about
Freddie today, I see.
Absolutely, Freddie, because you know why? I told you I was bringing it tonight. This is we're going to go after Freddie all night long. And thing is when you're talking about the Houston Texans going Deshaun Watson style, and you're like, okay, you're going to give up Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, and then guess what? That doesn't leave you with very much offensively. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because one of Freddie's favorite quarterback is Aaron Rodgers. And what's something that Freddie says every single season, he says, you know what? If I'm Aaron Rodgers, I ask for them to trade me because they don't give me anything. They give me one receiver. And now he's saying that Atlanta should go out and do that.
Hey, what I'm saying is eventually they're going to lose both of them. So why not get a why not get a rare quarterback in Deshaun Watson that's available? That's all I'm saying. I mean,
what you're saying is why not get something for them while they're still on the team?
Exactly.
Wow. All right, let's go on to the next slide. I can't do this. All right, go on to the next slide. All right. So now it brings us to the Minnesota Vikings. And now we're talking about Kirk Cousins. And as we know, we've seen some rumors out there swirling around that the rumors are saying that the San Francisco 49ers are interested in Kirk Cousins. It's interesting to me because they went out, they signed Jimmy Garoppolo to a massive deal, and which to me was completely blasphemous. And the reason I'm saying that is because you had a guy, you had him a small sample size. That's what it was in Jimmy G. They saw a small sample size. They go, you know what? We like him from his tiny sample size. Then they offer him a big contract, and then they start seeing like, oh man, maybe Jimmy G isn't that type of guy that we thought he was. And now they're talking about wanting to trade for Kirk Cousins, that a lot of people have knocked Kirk Cousins a lot. And it's not saying that he's a horrible quarterback. It's just when you look at the primetime games, man, he is not good in primetime games. So he's definitely not going to win you that big game. He can't. He's not that type of quarterback. All right, Freddie. So you go ahead and give me your thoughts on this one.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. If I'm the Dallas Cowboys, I'm calling Minnesota and say, you know what? I have a quarterback here who wants to get paid. He's a talented quarterback. Let's make a trade. I will give you Dak Prescott. I'll give you Ezekiel Elliott for Kirk Cousins and Dalvin Cook. Let's do a swap. I'll throw a draft pick in there. Because let's face it, Ezekiel Elliott's just about done. He's just about done. You know, when you talk about running backs have so long in the career. They have like a few good years, then eventually have a fall off. We finally, ladies and gentlemen, I got to bring this dude on the screen. Did everybody see this dude's face? Nate the Great. Yes, I said it, Nate. Yes. Ezekiel Elliott is having a fall off year this year. You let this past year, you see, he was not the same back that he was the last couple of years. He wasn't as explosive as he was. He was not going down the middle like he used to be. And guess what? The Cowboys do not believe in Dak Prescott. So why not get you a decent quarterback with Kirk Cousins, then get you a good running back and Dalvin Cook in exchange for a Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott?
Okay, hold up.
Okay.
You said Ezekiel Elliott is just about done?
Yeah, he's just about done.
Okay, yeah, I admit he got a bad year, but that was just one bad year.
Nate, if it wasn't for COVID, this man would care more about him going to Cabo, would care about doing anything else than playing football. But this dude showed up this year with a tattoo on his stomach say, "Feed me." The only thing he's fed was gaining some weight and not looking the same running back like he did 2 years ago. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so Freddie, let me say that.
He's a bit out of shape, but I wouldn't doubt him. I think he will have a comeback season. Ezekiel Elliott still has a lot left in the tank. He'll be all right.
Exactly.
The Dallas Cowboys, their defense is a mess. Their offense was okay. Their offense was decent. It's their defense that was a mess.
So, Jonathan, the one thing that I agree with you on, their defense was a mess, complete mess. But I think that the thing that Freddie's forgetting too is that, and trust me, I'm not a Dallas fan in any way. I've never been a Cowboys fan. But people knock offensive lines a lot because a lot of people will say, well, you know what? My running back, they didn't have a good year because we didn't have a good offensive line. Well, this year, Dallas, they had a lot of injuries on the offensive line.
Hey, but Barry Sanders have a great offensive line?
They had Barry Sanders, which is a freak of nature. Like, you can't even.
I don't want to hear about no offensive line. They paid this man how much money? How much money did they pay this man? I expect you to be on the 1 yard line and able to get the touchdown. I expect you to have 2 yards to go. You should be able to get it. You did it a few years ago. Show us why you're the best running back in the league to deserve that money.
Let me ask you this, okay? So you're talking about you have the ball at the 1 or 2, and you want to see Zeke Elliott run the ball. My question is this: who's their head coach?
It don't matter about the coach.
No.
It does not matter about the coach.
Their offensive line is bad enough that both their quarterback and their backup quarterback got hurt.
That's no opportunity for him, Nate.
There's a reason I'm saying this, though. There's a reason I'm saying who's the head coach. We can look at their head coach and say it's Mike McCarthy. What's one thing about Mike McCarthy? McCarthy hates to run the football. That is not what McCarthy does.
But it comes to time where Zeke.
That's not in his playbook. Running the football is not in his playbook.
It's not.
He go through the air.
It comes a time and place where Ezekiel Elliott walk in and say, "You know who I am? I'm Ezekiel Elliott. I'm the Mercedes that you paid $90-something million to come play for you. Give me the ball, let me take it." There comes a time where you got to say that. I mean, hey, Ezekiel Elliott looks like a lot of times he don't want it.
All right, so, and I'm going to back up for a second here too, because number one, Dallas could not trade Dak Prescott at this point. Because here's why. Because technically he's a free agent.
No, they can sign him. They can.
They could sign him and do it, but they would have to sign him first.
They can put him on.
They would sign him.
They can sign. They can. Oh man, my mind is all messed up.
They're not going to do that. But my point is, here's my question for you, Freddie. Is the other day you were talking about, man, the Dallas Cowboys. If Dak wants $40 million. They need to give that man $40 million. And then now what you're saying is, man, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, what you want to do is you want to sign Dak and then you want to trade him.
Because they're not going to pay him.
Freddie, where are you going with this?
Because they're not going to pay him. Don't disrespect him. Get rid of him and send him to a team who's going to appreciate his talent. Minnesota will appreciate Dak Prescott. They don't pay him because they know the leader that this man is.
Oh my gosh, no!
I don't
All right, so
I
John,
mean, you keep saying this man don't need to be paid. I mean, this dude has done something that Kirk Cousins haven't done. He's done stuff that he has done stuff that Jared Goff haven't done. Carson Wentz, but guess what? They got paid.
are you talking about Dak Prescott's done something that Kirk Cousins?
Yes.
Okay, what's something that Dak's done that Kirk Cousins hasn't done?
How many? He got more playoff wins than him. He got more playoff wins.
Does he?
Yes.
That is not.
Does he? I don't know. Does he have more playoff wins?
No, he does not. He does not.
No,
Kirk
Kirk
Cousins
Cousins does,
has
but
more
Kirk
playoff
Cousins-
wins.
How many more wins he got?
Kirk Cousins has more playoff wins.
Look, Dak Prescott has a chance to be a franchise quarterback. I think he does. Kirk Cousins doesn't, on the other hand. Kirk Cousins is just a game manager.
Dak
He gets
Prescott
by. He finds a way to get by.
He does.
Kirk Cousins in Minnesota has one playoff win. So how can you say that Dak has more playoff wins than Kirk?
Okay, let's look at Carson Wentz, okay? You want to bring up, yes, Carson Wentz.
You backtracking now, bro. Oh my gosh, you are backtracking. You are moonwalking, bro. You are moonwalking.
I got my Michael Jackson shoes on today.
Yourself in a hole, man. Okay, so Jonathan, you go ahead and give me your takes on this because Friday's just moonwalking everywhere. He doesn't know what he wants to say.
Well, Kirk Cousins' 2020 extension dropped the no trade clause, allowing the Vikings to move Cousins without his consent. So he can get traded. Where will he end up is the question. It's just like the Deshaun Watson saga. You know, this offseason has revolved around where Kirk Cousins and where Deshaun Watson will end up. If I had to choose a team, it would be the 49ers because the 49ers have shown willingness to move on from Jimmy Garoppolo. You know, surprisingly, I said his name right, I think. I usually mess up there. But, you know, who will be willing to pick up this contract? You know, his contract pays $56 million over the next 2 years. That's a bit expensive for a team. And this guy hasn't played well by the Viking standards. And he just hasn't really lived up to the hype. He's been utterly disappointing. I don't think he's anything spectacular. Like I told you guys moments ago, I think he's a game managing quarterback. He does enough to get by, and I don't know who will really want to pick up this contract, but if someone picked up Jared Goff's contract, you best believe that someone will be willing to pick up Kirk Cousins' quarterback because there's a lot of teams right now that's thirsty for a quarterback. They're trying to experiment with a new quarterback, and they're eager to, make something happen offensively because they have a pedestrian offense because they lack quarterback play.
I agree. I mean, the one team that I've said that if Kirk Cousins gets traded anywhere, I've said he will end up with the 49ers because they do want to offload Jimmy Garoppolo. That is one person that they've been talking about for a while that, hey, let's trade him. Let's get him gone because of that contract. But that contract, man, that's going to be hard. That is going to be a hard one to get rid of.
Right.
Yeah, and when you look at Kirk Cousins too, I don't know if a lot of people knew this, but it was before the last season, they re-signed Kirk Cousins to another 3-year deal. So they gave him another extension. And so now with the way that Kirk has been playing, I mean, you're going to have to offload that contract too. And he has shown in those primetime games that he's not going to get it done. And so that's going to turn a lot of teams off.
Listen, could you imagine Kirk Cousins?
You know what? Kirk Cousins really isn't much of an upgrade from Jimmy G. You're better off there with Jimmy G. Jimmy G got you to the Super Bowl it was times where
No, Jonathan, no.
Listen to me. Let me finish. It was times that Kyle Shanahan put him in difficult predicaments, where he was set up to fail, I think. Jimmy G, then he unfortunately got hurt. Jimmy G didn't really have a chance to show what he is capable of doing, if he is capable of engineering that offense. Give him a chance.
Jonathan. What happened was Bill Belichick has sent some world tickets, and they thought Jimmy G was going to be the next Tom Brady. Okay. Nobody put him in a bad situation. Okay. Jimmy G is who he is. He's not that great of a quarterback. He's the reason why they lost the Super Bowl. Let's not forget that. Okay. He's the reason why. So this
Kyle Shanahan, terrible game management.
No, the reason why they got to the Super Bowl was depending on a good defense and a good running game. Not Jimmy G. Jimmy G could not make plays when they needed to, even though his coach said, make the play. Guess what? I have a quarterback. I'm paying all this money. I should better run out on that Mercedes-Benz out there.
Well, he does look like somebody from a reality TV show. He looks like a pretty boy from The Bachelor.
I mean,
Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, let's keep in mind too, Freddie. So you're talking about the Super Bowl. Now, let's not also forget about that NFC Championship game that they played in, also, because when you talk about that NFC Championship game that they played in, he threw the ball 8 times. That was it, 8 times. He didn't throw any more. Like that defense. So I don't say a lot of that season was not on Jimmy Garoppolo. That defense put him in so many good positions to win those games. And then when you got to the NFC Championship, all they did was ran the ball virtually all game. That's all they had to do. And so to me, it's kind of a wash with Jimmy Garoppolo and Kirk Cousins. It's really a wash. With maybe the little bit of an upper hand, I might give to Kirk. Just slightly, I would give to Kirk. But it is really, really close. Oh, and Nate, I see hopped off here. I guess he was done.
Yeah, right. Both of these teams really had great defenses that kind of carried the load for them, All
right, so you've said the 49ers. I've said the 49ers. So, Freddie, if he gets traded, and let's not get back into the Dallas crap because we can tell you now that's not happening. So tell me, where's Kirk Cousins going to actually go?
If it's not Dallas, the other team I have in mind is still in the NFC East. But Philadelphia Eagles, they don't know who their quarterback is for next year. They need a quarterback. And guess what? If the right team give the right price over Carson Wentz and somebody give me Jalen Hurts, guess what they can say? Hey, got Kirk over here. I got some pieces for you. Got draft picks. So, hey, we never know what these teams are going to do. That's all I'm saying.
Jonathan, I must say, welcome. Hold on one sec, Nate. So, Jonathan, I will say, welcome to Real Talk. And this is why Freddie got the nickname on this network of Mr. Delusional is because of crap like this. So Nate, Nate, you go ahead and tell me, where's Kirk Cousins going to get traded to?
Okay, before I give my take, writing this down, Freddie Henderson gave an Eagles take. But I have to go.
Chris Brown, they scared of Chris Brown. I'll call him out. I'm ready for Chris Brown to come back next week. Go show it to him.
I have them going to, just like John Suggs said, I have them going to the New England Patriots. They need basically a lot of. Oh, not that one.
It's going to be a 3-team trade. 3-team trade.
I could see Cousins going to the New England Patriots. Maybe involve some draft picks and all that kind of stuff. But New England needs a lot of things on that offensive side. They need a lot of help. Cam Newton, I'm sorry, you're not the answer. I've said this many, many times. Cam Newton is not the answer for New England. I don't think he is the answer for any team anymore.
Nate.
No,
as a backup, but not as a starter.
Nate, You don't want Kirk Cousins in New England without a legit wide receiver because that's the same thing happened to Cam Newton. This team was worse even when Tom Brady had it. Got worse. They had no true wide receiver over there.
However, Freddie, you are forgetting though that when you're talking about receivers, there's a lot of rumors out there because you got to think too. Chris Godwin, after this season from Tampa Bay, is a free agent, and there's a lot of rumors saying that New England is highly interested in going out and signing Chris Godwin, and so they want to load up on receivers. Well, the thing is you're saying he's not going anywhere, but this is the thing that you're forgetting. The cap situation this year is going to be extremely hard, and Tampa Bay is not going to be able to pay all their free agents like a lot of teams won't. And so Chris Godwin might be a guy that they have to leave off because he has really, really stuck out this year and really shown how good of a receiver he is. So he's going to want to get paid. And so, Tampa Bay, I don't know if they can afford him.
So since when New England want to pay players?
Now, I'm not saying no, hold on here. Have they ever gone out and signed players for a lot of money? No, and here's why. Because they've never had to. They end up with all these players for cheap because players have always wanted to go and play in New England. So they've never had to play them in abundance of money because they've always wanted to go play there. You've seen these trades in the past that New England has been able to pull off to where you're like, oh, that guy's worth a second round pick. And then you see New England trades for him for a fourth round. And you're like, what? How did New England get it for a fourth round pick when he was worth a second? So I'm saying is they've never had to pay anybody in the past because they've gotten a lot of people for cheap. But now that Brady isn't there, they're going to have to pay the piper, and they're going to have to start paying some more money, and I think you will see it now. You will see it because now they're going to have to start to rebuild and make them better. So that's why you will start to see them fork out more cash.
To add on to my previous statement, I could see Kirk Cousins getting traded to New England for some defensive help because they really do need. Minnesota really does need some defensive help, and New England had 6 defenders drop out of 2020 season, opt out of the season. So I could see a lot of defenders getting traded to Minnesota.
And I see a comment on the side to where they were talking about didn't the Pats go out and sign Randy Moss and AB? They did, but it was not for a lot of money. And I know that Mess Around is saying that they traded for Moss and Brown. They actually did not trade for Brown. Brown actually became a free agent once the Raiders cut him. He actually became a free agent, and that's when the Patriots went out and signed him. But they did not sign him for a lot of money. They didn't have to because Brown was willing to go and play for him. So that was my point on that, Freddie.
But Ace, he wasn't just willing to go pay for him. He had to go back and prove himself.
Yeah,
but if he was Antonio Brown when he's Pittsburgh Steelers putting up the numbers that he was without getting in trouble, they would have had to pay for him. That's all I'm saying.
But if I'm telling you this, I think Pittsburgh might have actually kept him at that point. I think they might have. And so
because Amendola came on an interview saying that he had to get up out of there because they didn't want to pay him.
And well, I see your point. Trust me, I wasn't saying anything. I was trying to prove a point to Freddie too. But trying to prove a point with this guy's like, all right. So, all right. So, Mr. Nate the Great, let's move on to that next slide because now we're actually away from the NFL side. Now we're going to jump into the NBA side. And here's the first question: are the Utah Jazz legit? And so with this one, we'll go ahead and we'll start with Mr. Jonathan Mathis on this one. What do you think? Are the Utah Jazz legit?
You know what? They're a good team. I think Rudy Gobert is an average center. I don't want to say he's an elite center because he got elite dollars. They paid him. But, the man is a great shot blocker. Then you have Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is a superstar player. But here's the thing with Donovan Mitchell. He doesn't have a second superstar. I think he needs a superstar playing alongside him. If he get a superstar playing alongside him, this Jazz team is dangerous. It's lethal. I think he needs another superstar to play alongside him. But he's definitely a superstar. I hear the disrespect all the time that they say this guy's is not a superstar, that he's a star player on the team. You know what? That's ludicrous. He's a superstar. He has emerged into a big-time superstar on that Utah Jazz team. And the points that he's putting up is simply amazing. He's a fun guy to watch. He's very humble, and he is leading this team. But I think the Utah Jazz need another superstar if they want to really make a run in the postseason.
You know, Mike Conley isn't horrible, but he's not. I'm not going to say he's a superstar, but he's not horrible.
Right.
He can help out Donovan Mitchell, but they do need one more superstar, which I think if they continue to play like this, they're going to go get that superstar, because right now they're sitting at number 1. So if they continue to do this, you will see them get a superstar. And I know Freddie's up there, you know who's behind them because my team's coming. Yeah, so I know where he's going with that. And for some reason, I feel like he's going to try and sneak that in there when we're not even talking about that. But anyways, Nate, go ahead and give me your take. What do you think? Is the Utah Jazz legit?
Yes, I do. They went on a 10-game winning streak. They actually 11 game.
11. It was 11.
11 game. And I have a question for Jonathan. You don't think Rudy Gobert is a superstar?
I mean, he's okay. You put him on another team, and if they have enough depth and enough size, he's a role player for sure. And if you put him on another team, he could possibly come off the bench, depending who's the starter or who's playing behind him. You know, I mean, I just don't think he's a superstar player. I think he's a decent center who has stood his ground in Utah because they really have no one else. They have no other big man on the team. He is the big man. So no, I don't see him as a superstar player, and I definitely don't think he's worth the max contract.
And the second question is, can they make a deep playoff run? I can think they can make a playoff run, make it past the first round. It honestly depends on
the matchup,
how the playoffs line up. Because if they play a Nuggets team, I could see that going 7 games. If they play a Clippers, I could see them losing that one. If they play, oh gosh,
I saw that Freddie. Oh my gosh.
And so I could see them making a playoff run, but it honestly depends on how the playoff lines up.
All right, Freddie, go ahead and give me.
They're definitely on the verge to something with the talent they have.
It's funny that Ace think he knows what I'm gonna say. Hey, since when you know what's gonna come out my mouth, you don't know what I'm gonna say. So don't say
Freddie, usually every single episode,
this
thing,
one is not going to
ends up being the same thing. It usually ends up being the Lakers, or usually something about the Lakers, something about LeBron James, something about usually every single episode. That's usually what you always talk about.
Well, this episode is not going to be one. Yes, this team is legit. Why? Because they are balanced, like John Sugg say. Did you guys know that Mike Conley is averaging 16 points this year?
Yeah, he's been really good.
Yeah, Donovan Mitchell's averaging 23 points. You know, you say, oh, that's down for this year, but guess what? The dude is balling. Bojan Bogdanovic is giving you 14 a night. Jordan Clarkson is giving you 17 a night. Rudy Gobert is giving you 13 points, 13 rebounds, one assist, and a steal a night, and a block a night. So if you ask me, that's a well-balanced team. I think this team can make a deep run in the playoffs. I think there's a few teams. I think this team is better than the 6 teams, the 7 teams in the Western Conference. I believe they're better than every other team but the Lakers. I think that they can. I think they can beat the Clippers. I don't think the Clippers can stay. We see this team, the Clippers team, fold in the playoffs. I think they will fold against Utah again in the playoffs. I think this team. Huh?
They can, but the weight historically falls on Donovan Mitchell. And
no, not this year. Look, I just told you 3 or 4 players is averaging plus 15 points a night.
We'll see what happened in the playoffs, though.
The Clippers don't have the firepower for this team.
Sometimes they tend to fold, and they rely on their superstar player too much. And we've seen that last season with the Utah Jazz.
Donovan, we have not seen this team.
Was the workhorse on that team.
No, we have not seen this team. Mike Conley struggled last year. He's fine. He came back and he's balling. We have guys that's actually putting up points. And I don't think the Clippers have enough firepower for this team.
Oh, no. Yeah, if they're playing this good and they meet the Clippers, the Clippers are done. Me and you could agree on that. We could definitely agree on that. But I think for the Jazz, it will depend primarily on their ability to play against a team that could be a bit more challenging for them. But we'll see. Maybe they can make a deep playoff run. Houston's not the same team anymore. Portland is who they are. Damian Lillard and that backcourt with C.J. McCollum is prolific, but they don't have front court depth. And who's going to defend Rudy Gobert? So, Utah definitely has a chance to make a deep run and make some noise in the playoffs.
Yep.
I think we all could agree on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, I'll tell you what, because the first time that the Jazz played the Clippers, that was a really good game, 106-100. And now keep in mind, you guys remember who went off in that game. And in that game, that was actually Mike Conley that went off in that game. Mike Conley went off for 33 points against the Clippers the first time that they played. And so I do agree that if the Jazz play like this, they could beat the Clippers. It would be tough, but they could do it. I think it would go 7. I really do think
it's not tough. You're playing the Clippers. It's not tough.
Oh, okay, Freddie.
Questionable. I didn't say that they were going to. I said it was questionable.
Well, no, that's why I said it could go 7. It could go 7.
Yeah.
Don't worry, if they meet the Clippers are done because Paul George is going to disappear like he usually does.
Yeah, Paul George, especially in the playoffs, he's never that guy in the playoffs. He can come out, light it up in the regular season, average 24 to 25 points a game in the regular season, and then what happens once Paul George gets to the playoffs? He disappears, and then it goes from like 24 to 25 points down to like 10 or 11 points a game. If that.
I stopped watching PG-13 movies.
He got a pandemic P.
He what? He what?
What?
Nuggets.
What did he say?
His name is Pandemic P.
Yeah,
Pandemic P. Pandemic P. Pandemic P. Now, the one guy, though, I think we all pretty much agree that the Clippers pretty much revolve around Kawhi, though. That's pretty much what the Clippers revolve around is Kawhi. And the biggest thing about Kawhi, though, is that he's always on that minutes limit because they don't want to exert Kawhi too much. They don't want to overplay him. And so, to me, if it comes around to the playoffs time, you have to look at how much have they played him. And right now, I think that the Clippers are doing what they have to do with Kawhi, not trying to play him too many minutes to keep him healthy for the playoffs. But Utah Jazz, I think we're all in agreement. They are a legit team, and they could make a deep playoff run. All right, so Nate, next slide.
Oops.
All right. We're going to talk about the 76ers, and I know Chris Brown's going to be disappointed, Freddie, because you had to put this in there for this week, and Chris Brown's not here. And you got to talk about the 76ers and asking, are they the best team in the East? And so, Freddie, I'll start with you on this one. Is the 76ers the best team in the East?
Oh, Chris Brown, you said if I talk about your team, you gonna get me. Well, I'm talking about them. Yes, they are the best team in the East. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put some respect on it, okay? Everybody want to talk about Brooklyn. Brooklyn, they got James Harden, Kyrie, James Harden, but they have no depth and they play no defense. You talk about a Philadelphia team that play defense, that have an MVP caliber big man. You talk about Ben Simmons. You talk about the shooters that this team have. The coaching experiences, man. They probably have the best coach in the East in Doc Rivers this year, by the way. So, yes, I'm going with the Philadelphia 76ers. Let's put some respect on their names. I'm not sold on the Brooklyn Nets. I will not be sold until they win a championship. They have too many question marks. I told y'all this before. Do we know Kyrie Irving's going to go on a mental lap where he's going to be gone for weeks? Do we know that is he okay to be in a third fiddle? Do we know he wasn't able to be a second fiddle to LeBron? Are we sure that James Harden, KD, and Kyrie Irving at the end of the game will say, you know what? Here, you shoot the ball. Here, you shoot the ball. There's too many issues. There's too many issues for a first-time coach. This team is they are going to be the greatest offensive team we've ever seen, but they're going to be the worst defensive team we've ever seen. And guess what? We know that defense wins championships.
All right, Jonathan Mathis, go ahead and give me your take on this one.
Well, they did beat the Lakers. They do have Joel Embiid, who on the East could defend this guy. You know, they have a lot of size in the front court. They have Ben Simmons, who's an incredible playmaker. The guy is an incredible passer. He has eyes in the back of his head. I said this, and I know Freddie's going to get on me for saying this, but I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it. I said it before. I'm going to say it again. Ben Simmons is a jump shot away from being another LeBron James. Yeah, I said it. I said it. He's a jump shot away from being another LeBron James because he's crafty, he could pass the ball, and he could get to the basket, and he could play a little defense. So, you know, I think he's close to being the next LeBron. He resembles LeBron's game. Then you have Doc Rivers, who is a veteran coach, been around a long time. He comes in, he changes the culture. You know, he's doing something that the coach before him wasn't doing. So I think Philly right now is the best team in the East. And don't forget about Tobias Harris and his strong conviction, to play at such a high level. And the way he handles the ball is amazing to me. He's probably one of the most underrated ball handlers in the league. And he has that nice little 15 jump shot, 15-foot jump shot. He's smooth, man. I like Tobias Harris, man. I think he's a great player. I think he's an underrated player. I think he's underappreciated. And the man goes to work. But this Philly team, man, they look real good right now. They're playing with a lot of confidence, and they are the best team in the East. And I wouldn't be surprised at this point if they do come out of the East. I said the Nets because with all the pieces that they have. But you know what? They have too many superstars on one team. And sometimes in the postseason, that could implode and it might not just work out for them. But Philly right now is the team in the East.
Whew. So one thing I will say, Jonathan, is that I was actually going to talk about Tobias Harris, and so I was glad you actually brought him up because when people talk about the 76ers, for some reason, people don't talk a lot about Tobias Harris. They talk about Joel Embiid, they talk about Ben Simmons, but not a whole lot about Tobias Harris. And Tobias Harris, I think he's a really good player. Especially this year. He's looked really, really good this year. Now, Seth Curry at the beginning of the season had played really, really well. And then once he got COVID and came back, he really hasn't played all that well. And maybe it's because he's still not 100 complete. Maybe he's not 100% healthy yet, but something is going on with Seth Curry. And so right now, I think Seth Curry needs to find his groove again, and he needs to get back going. The only person, and Freddie, you might agree on this one, maybe not, because I know he played with the Lakers, but I'm not high on Danny Green. I've never been a huge Danny Green guy. So to me, that is the weak point of the 76ers is Danny Green. I've never been a huge fan of Danny Green. So
He's actually playing good for Philadelphia.
well,
He's a defensive player. He's not really an offensive type player. He's one of those type of streaky players. If he gets going, okay, great. He's knocking down shots. If he doesn't have it, then he's bricking them.
I just don't trust him. I don't trust him.
I don't trust him either.
I never had like last year. He struggled with the Lakers and then coming into 76ers this year, they're like, oh, you know what, that was a good addition. I'm like, nah, not really. I guess it's just hard for me to trust Danny Green. I've never trusted the guy, and I don't know if I ever will.
Delusional Sixers fans who really believed he would make a difference. His defense is what makes a difference. And then he has the ability to dislodge the ball and turn it into fast break points. You know, I could give him that. But as far as knocking down the 3-point shot like he did with the Spurs, those days are over.
Yeah, you cannot rely on him to make a big-time shot. You just you can't. He's not that player anymore. All right, so Nate, go ahead and give me your thoughts on this.
So I have a question, and I'm going to address it over to a comment, actually. John Suggs said, LOL, best team in the East, not saying those last two words.
No, I'm assuming, and don't mark my words on this but I'm guessing what he's going with is he might be talking about the Nets and he might be talking about the Bucks. And I know people are pretty high on the Nets because of Harden and Durant and Irving. Now, can I say that the Nets can make a splash? They absolutely can. If their defense gets right, oh yeah, they can compete with anybody, but their defense has to get right. And how long is that going to take? I don't know, but because they're so new together, they haven't played together for a long time, that chemistry is going to have to get down. And I'm still waiting to see that. And if they do, watch out, because the Nets team is going to be scary if that chemistry is able to get down.
Yeah, but my point is, though, is that if he's talking about the Nets, they don't have a defense. I know it's been addressed several times, but I'm addressing again. They allowed 8 points in the last 8 seconds against the Wizards. The Wizards? Out of all teams, the Wizards. And not only that, Cleveland is 2-0 against the Nets. The Cavaliers are 2-0 against the Nets, and it's 100. Going back to the Wizards game, the Wizards that entire game scored 148 points, and they don't. That's just proof to you that they don't have a defense.
But people are also overlooking the Cavaliers like they're a horrible team, and they're not horrible. They're not a horrible team.
They're not a good defensive team at all.
But
they won in that trade. They kind of won in that trade.
I mean, Andre Drummond is a beast. That dude's a beast. But Nate, go ahead and finish what you have to say.
But Cleveland is not. I said that Cleveland. I don't consider them an elite team either. I think they're. I would consider them like 5th, 6th, maybe 7th seed, in the East. Definitely not top 3. Now I think going back to the Bucks, I think that's kind of questionable. Now the one thing I will say though is that Philly is not great against playing against on road games, and at home I think they have 1 loss this season. That was how many times they played that was how many players that had COVID that game against the Nuggets. So yeah, I think that 76ers are the best team in the East.
Well, for right now, I mean, right now you have to look at that and say, at this moment, yes, because we know, and I touched on it. I think it was Monday that I touched on it, and I said, offensively, right now the Nets are on a historic pace at this point. They're averaging it's like 122.6, which if they finish the season with that, it'd be an NBA record. That's ever happened. Now you look on the defensive side, and yet their defensive rating is 119.3, which that would also be an NBA record on the defensive side. So at some point, though, is something going to give? I think something will give at some point. I think these Nets are just going to get better and better as the season goes on. But right now, yes, the 76ers are the best team currently right now.
I'm sorry, they lost
I
two.
think the Nets
They
are
lost two
still,
at home
they're still
because they lost
gelling.
tonight.
The Nets are still gelling together.
They are.
Once chemistry, is developed, then I think they'll become a better team as a whole collectively, and we'll see it, play out and finally, what's the word I'm looking for? Come together for them. I think so. Hey, you know what? Right now, the Sixers are the best team in the East. That could change later on in the season, and we see it change. Look at Dallas right now. They're playing horrible. They could turn it on at any time too. But I'm just using them as an example. How sometimes teams go into a slump and they look terrible to start the season, and they pick it up gradually as the season goes on. So the Nets could be that team, and we could see them do some incredible things. But that defense is going to have to kick it into gear if they want to make a deep run in the playoffs. The defense is going to have to step it up a lot. They can't just play offensively, just dominate offensively on one side of the ball. That's not going to win you championships. But look who their coach is. Their coach is Steve Nash, and the assistant coach is Mike D'Antoni, a guy who didn't preach defense. So, what do you guys really expect? The team is not committed to playing defense because they have two offensive-minded guys who's really over on that sideline coaching the team.
Which, right now, too, when you look at it, a lot of people are really not talking about the Bucks because this year the Bucks have not been the Bucks. They haven't been the Bucks. And so is something going to happen to where the Bucks are going to gel? I don't know. So right now, that's why I think we're all in agreement that the Sixers are the best team currently in the East. Will it change? It might, because the season's still currently young. So we can come back to it again later on in the season. But
they're halfway. Season's halfway.
So now John Suggs said that the 76ers look better without Embiid, honestly, against the Pacers. Now if you remember, they did finally win their first game without Embiid. That was their first victory without him. But they had to go on a 31-6 run in order to come back and beat the Pacers. So, and that run that they made, they looked really, really good. But still, without Embiid, they're not going to do anything without him. He's the clear leader of the team. He's their best player. You got to have him to be able to go anywhere if you're the 76ers. All right, well, that is all we have for you tonight. So I want to thank Jonathan Mathis for coming on our show tonight of Real Talk. And you know what? It was a pleasure to have you. I really hope you enjoyed it on the show. And
guys, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure. I hope to come back on sometime soon and chat with you guys. I had a blast tonight.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, Jonathan, I'm glad that you able to come on. This is what we call Real Talk. I keep it real on this show. Like I tell these guys, I'm the celebrity. These people get up to see me on this show. And Chris Brown, you want to bring up that call-out video, but guess what? I'm here. I'll be here next week, and I'm waiting for you. And hey, man, you just be ready. That's all I got to say.
Well, Freddie tonight.
I like your energy. I love your energy. It's so contagious.
Freddie, you did a little bit of moonwalking tonight. Let me tell you that. A few times you did a little bit of moonwalking.
It's all right. Everybody got to show some love to Michael Jackson every once in a while. Every once in a while.
All right. So, Freddie, you got 30 seconds to say whatever it is you want to say before we hop off here.
Hey, all I got to say is thanks to all the viewers and everybody watching the show. Please share our video, like our page. Kansas City Chiefs going to handle their business this Sunday on the Super Bowl. That's all I have.
All right. Jonathan Mathis, you got 30 seconds, buddy. Do you want to say anything? You got 30 seconds.
Yes, I got the Chiefs on Sunday in the Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to the Super Bowl. I don't do Super Bowl parties because I'm usually writing about the game. So I'll be tuned in and watching the game closely.
So I think you missed the first slide that we talked about. So just really quickly, if you could, the first slide that we had on there was we actually had a Super Bowl hot take. So do you have a Super Bowl hot take that you would like to throw out there?
Yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes, everyone's calling him the baby GOAT, right? I think this is a chance for him once again on the grandest stage for him to win back-to-back and stop Tom Brady. It'll be interesting to see what the headlines say if that happens. If Patrick Mahomes beats Tom Brady, where do you rank him? Where do you place him in NFL history? How does this solidify his legacy? Those will be the questions that will be asked on Sunday night if he does beat Tom Brady. Tom Brady reaching 10 Super Bowls, that's unheard of. That's incredible. But I got to go with the Chiefs because I like the way Patrick Mahomes plays under the bright lights. This guy, nothing phases him. He handles the pressure, and I think he's going to go out there and give it his all. And remember, if the Chiefs go down early, they're resilient. They'll find a way to, come back and cut into the deficit and try to win the game. But I think this Super Bowl is going to be epic. I think it's going to go down as the all-time greatest.
Okay, and final question for you, Jonathan, before you hop off. I'm sorry, I have another question for you. But because the other slide that we talked about was who's going to be your Super Bowl MVP? Who do you have winning the MVP award?
Well, if the Chiefs win, I would have to either go with Patrick Mahomes or Travis Kelce. Because if Travis Kelce gets enough touches in that game and makes a tremendous impact on the game, then I think he could easily be the MVP as well. I think it's a fair argument to make that he can go down as the greatest player on the night. You see him make plays with his hands, with his ability to run, his stamina. He could, by the time it's all said and done, he could go down as the greatest tight end in NFL history. So for me, it's either Patrick Mahomes or it's Travis Kelce.
So you talked a little bit about the GOAT talk. I'm not going to go into that because Freddie knows exactly how I feel about the GOAT talk. I honestly don't think there's no such thing as a GOAT, and that's just because of the different eras that there were. It's hard to specify who is GOAT because of the different eras. So personally, I've never liked the GOAT talk. Personally, so I've never said that there's a true GOAT unless it's NHL, and then you got to go with Wayne Gretzky because he's the actual true GOAT because it's not even close. But anyway, so with that being said, Nate, you have 30 seconds. Go ahead and tell me your last remaining thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to use my last remaining thoughts on a Super Bowl hot take. I think that if Patrick Mahomes loses this Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes will be the MVP. If the Chiefs win this Super Bowl, I think the Super Bowl will go to Josh Allen. Because when have they ever, lately, when have they given the MVP to a Super Bowl losing team? And I'm not saying Super Bowl MVP, I'm talking about MVP of the season.
That's where you confused me for a sec because you talked about MVP and then you went to Mahomes, then you went to Josh Allen. I'm like, wait, what's going on here? But still,
I think we're all baffled.
Right? Yeah, I was like, what is he talking about? All right, but anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed another episode of Real Talk Freddie. It was great again to come back on the show and be able to butt heads with Freddie Henderson again and have a moonwalking a couple times. It was nice. Jonathan Mathis, it was great to meet you.
Yo, Ace, where are you from? On the West Coast. What part of the West Coast?
I am actually from Oregon.
Oh, so you're in Oregon?
Yeah.
I'm in Cali. I'm in Southern California.
Nice. I love it, man. I love it.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. My fiance loved Portland, by the way.
Oh, nice. So I'm about 3-4 hours away from Portland.
Oh, okay. Okay, nice.
I used to live in Beaverton.
So yes, it was great to have you on the show, Jonathan. You can look me up on Facebook if you want. And
Absolutely, thank you.
yeah, no problem. And Nate, it was nice to have you on tonight. So I just want to hope everybody has a fantastic night. And this weekend, wait for that Super Bowl because it is going to be lit. It's going to be a great Super Bowl. And then tomorrow, don't forget, we have Boxed Out. And then Saturday, we have Sports Minute again. And then everybody just have a fantastic night. We'll see you again.
All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a plays. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety, topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, like working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays.